shifted again. No longer do you have to use Native American. It shifts from time to time. What other slang words? Well, yes. Go ahead. Oh, book smart and street smart. Somebody who's book smart is what? I'm sorry? Educated, intelligent, or intellectual. And I really like the adjective intellectual because it has this connotation of somebody who is an academic, somebody who leads a life of the mind, whose mind is always in a book or in the classroom, the intellectual. The street smart person, well, common sense, practicality, somebody who is practical, I think works really well. Common sense works as a noun, a compound noun. No, you're right. It's not a compound noun, but it's a term that we commonly use together. Yes. Yeah. It's not considered slang. Slang is technically when you are perverting or creating language that is not formally accepted. For instance, the word kid. Okay? Kid is a perversion of a word. A kid literally means baby goat. We pervert it to mean any sort of human child. Okay, so, thing is an accepted word. The problem with thing is that it is way too general and vague. You can write, if you have a problem with thing, you can write on the Muggs checklist use of thing. It's one of the common writing errors, one of the top 10. Other slang words that you're having problems with? Oh, I'm sorry, Abby. Yeah. Yes, guy is definitely a slang word. So you would use man. Guy or dude are both considered slang in the same way that chick would be considered slang when referring to a woman. So for that, you probably want to just find man, teenager, boy, child, young man, something like that. Male is okay, a little too clinical, and technically male is an adjective. But we use it as a noun, but it's technically an adjective. So, yeah, man would work better. Hominess.
Wait, hominess is a verb?
Interesting. Hominess. Who are you using to, or who are you describing as?
We were describing the Lily August Story's house.
Was that with me, Becker?
Yeah, I think it was us
That's what I was
three.
thinking. We were trying to think of a word.
Lily and August what?
It was the Boat Ray house.
Just comfortable.
The living room of the Boat Ray house.
Comfortable, inviting, warm.
Something about her imagery made us. I forget.
Yeah, I remember this phrase. I think
Something being homey. Right. So you're reaching for an adjective, and then here's the noun form. You're reaching for an adjective which describes the warmth of a home as opposed to just a house, right? All right. So I would use the word warm. I would use the word comfortable. I would use the word inviting. I would use the word nurturing. I would think about what I meant by the comfort of a home, and I might subdivide it into different adjectives. But homey is, well, homey's interesting because you know what it's doing is it's answering a need. You need a word that with one word as an adjective captures all of these meanings, right? And that's how words are created. Words are created through necessity. People needed a word to describe something, so they make a word. They make a word, other people see the value of that word, and then suddenly that word becomes part of the language. That's how language evolves. And yesterday's slang may be today's formal language. Currently, something like that would still be kind of slangish. I'm sorry? Like friend as a verb? Right, friend as a verb and unfriend as its antonym. Yeah. Or I think bootylicious is now in the dictionary also. No, because it says in the dictionary, bootylicious, slang. Yeah, it did. I don't know. You know the old phrase, ain't a word because it ain't in the dictionary? You ever heard that one before? Of course it's in the dictionary. It's in the dictionary listed as slang. Ain't.
This morning was talking about writing a poem to ask a guy to, and she was like, here's what I'm going to write. Roses is red, violets is blue, no. Or I want to go to home, or home with, I don't know, it was weird.
Okay, Anne, back on track. Let's step back from the slang issue for a moment. You folks are throwing at me a mix of slang words that are very common for students to use and some which are relatively uncommon for students to use. Now with the uncommon ones, how can you know it's slang? In some cases you won't. And when it comes to this class and my grading, I'm often very understanding at words that you might not have necessarily known are slang. At this point in the year, you'll be slammed if you use the word kid, unless you're using it in quotation marks intentionally to draw attention to it. But if you use the word kid to refer to a child, or use the word dad or mom, I will say, nope, that's slang, you should know better. Because those are sort of, top words that students mistake. Guy would be another one. So make sure that you are attentive to words that you have already used that are slang. And don't worry so much about accounting for every slang word in the world. We couldn't list them all. But be aware of some that you see that you use. If you see that you've used kid on several occasions, be aware of it. If you see that you've used dad or mom on several occasions, be aware of it and make sure that you don't do that again. I am trying to teach within you a very formal, very precise voice. It's not the voice you're always going to use, but it's one that you need to master before you move on to others. Speaking of moving on, speaking